So I'll start recording here. Welcome to my Ask Me Anything. Need that, and we need to pin my spotlight. There we go. Welcome to my AMA for December 8. Like I said, I sent out this invitation short notice, very short notice yesterday, just because I've been working on the site. And towards the end of the AMA, I'll talk a little bit of what I'm doing with the site. I've gotten some good feedback on it. People seem to like it, which is good. Sometimes, you know, when it's a one-man operation, I have an idea, and I don't. Sometimes I kind of seek feedback, but then I don't. I just go for it, and that can backfire at times. So. But it seems to be going really well, and people like it, and I'm really happy with it. So those are two great things. This was just sent out to my members and all that, so I don't have to do my who I am. Everybody knows who I am, and we can get started here. I have about 8 questions, and some of them are pretty good. I had to look some stuff up, and I always kind of like doing that. So let's get started here. The first question that I have is, what is a good scanner for receipts and bills for the Mac? And this comes from Jerry. And really, and of course, this is just in my limited research. And the first thing is you need to hook up a scanner to your Mac, the scanner that I'm looking it up here a minute. I have it somewhere here. ScanSnap, I think it is. Seems to be, and I remember this. Yes, ScanSnap. I remember this from. It's been around forever. It's made by Fujitsu, and let's go search for ScanSnap. And there it is. It's just this little guy down here. And basically what that'll do is that'll scan the document. Okay, that's not anything amazing or anything like that. I just hear good things about the ScanSnap. But, you know, the next thing is you want to get all of this stuff organized. And let's straight, there we go. You want to get this onto your computer in a way that you could search for it and things like that. So what you need to do is you have to have some kind of an OCR, optical character recognition kind of thing. And the one that I found interesting, I have not tried it, so I have to go with that. But the one that I found that was pretty interesting was, let's see here, I gotta pull up the website. Let's see here. There it is, Receipts app. This is in the App Store, but if you go to the web, what you're able to do is download it for free. And essentially what this will do is this will take anything in emails. It will, anything that you scan, and it does work with the Fujitsu ScanSnap. That's where this app actually reminded me of that. You can see it works with PDFs, images, mails, websites. It has autonomous recognition of contents. It has really good reviews in the App Store. It automatic conversion of foreign currencies, and it will automatically look at to see where the tax is and all that. And then what you're able to do is, I'm going to mute the audio here, but you're just going to kind of see here. What you're able to do is then just search for what you want to look for. So we're here. He's just going to drag all these invoices into the app, and there it pulls it all in. And it went through and it recognized the date, the amount, the tax, the currency. You can see there. And then what he's able to do, or what you would be able to do, is search for all that, just categorize it. Now, by no means this isn't a QuickBooks or anything, but it's just a way of organizing all of your receipts and all that. And like I said, it will automatically find similar documents, and it'll keep them into folders. If you look over on the left here, it has a journal. We have providers. There's a dashboard with charts. looked pretty interesting. So what I would do, it's a pricey program. It's $59. So through the App Store. So go to Receipts-app and take a look, download it and see if that will work. But that's the one that I thought was kind of intriguing when I did my limited research on this. So do you think that would help out? Is that kind of what you were looking for? Ooh, I got a phone call here. Decline. There we go. Is that what you were kind of looking for, Jerry? All right, maybe Jerry's not here. I thought I saw him here. Anyway, so that is what you could use to help scan your documents and things like that. I have not tried it, but I probably will give it a try. I have everything in my email. I mean, I can find all of my receipts, but it would be actually kind of nice to be able to sort through them and find them through an app. But it is only a Mac-only app. I wish it was an iPad, iPhone as well, but I thought that was kind of an interesting solution for organizing your receipts. All right. Next, Susan asked, how do I dictate in all caps on the iPad? Can I also have it enter the date and times? And this is in the Reminders app. So what Susan does is she will... I'm going to mute everyone. Everyone knows how it works. If you have a question, just unmute yourself. I run a pretty loose ship here, so we're just going to mute everyone here.
I'm at a computer lesson.
Okay.
I see in the chat somebody's used ScanSnap for years. I know it's been around. All right, here we go. So found mute all. All right. There we go. Again, anyone has any questions, just unmute yourself. I do have the chat pulled up here. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself or ask in the question there in the chat. So Phil has a ScanSnap, had it for years, and then also Ann McKay also says that she has a ScanSnap for the Mac, and it works very well. It is over 15 years old, and that's pretty good. And it's still going strong. Like I say, as soon as I saw ScanSnap, I've heard, it's been around forever, and it's always been really, really, as far as I know, it's been really, really good. So, all right. How about using the phone to scan and add it to Apple Notes or Evernote? Yes, you could do that, but I think with Evernote and with Notes, all it does is just scan it in and you have a PDF, and you are able to search because it does do the OCR. But what this app does is it organizes it, and you have your charts and your dashboard and different things. I can find all of my receipts from PayPal in a nice organized manner. I can find all of my receipts from my bank or all of my receipts from Amazon if I dared to see all that, kind of stuff. So, not that you couldn't use those other ones, but I think this kind of gets it in a more organized manner. All right. How do I dictate in all caps? And again, this Susan uses Reminders. And what she likes to do is put everything in all caps. Sorry, Steve, if you're here yet. Steve criticized or gave me feedback, which was good on some of my artwork because I would put it in all caps. But the reason why Susan likes to see that is because it's easier for her to read, and I get that. So she will do everything in all caps. Well, when you dictate to the iPad or the iPhone, what it does is it does a title case. And if you just say caps on, what it'll do is it'll capitalize the first word, but not everything. So how do you tell it to capitalize everything, as you're going into your reminders? So I'm going to go into my reminders here. And I got it to work. What I'm going to show you here, it does work, but I had a tough time with it. I think it's just because not a lot of people, use all caps. So let's see, where is it here? Scan, looking at my notes here. How to type, there it is. So it's what you have to say is all caps on. Not caps on, not caps lock, But what I have found is all caps on, and then when you want to turn it back off, you have to say all caps off. And it did work, but it took me a few tries to get it to work. I'm going to try it here on my iPad, and you're going to see that probably it's going to be frustrating here. So I have my note there, and I have over here my dictation. All caps on. So is this going to capitalize everything? As you can see, it did not. Oh, there it goes. So it did capitalize. Just took a few seconds. Maybe my patience wasn't long enough. So you can see it's doing it every keeping it all caps on. All caps off. So now it should be, there it is, all in lowercase. All caps on. And now it should all be in uppercase. So there, it worked great. That's excellent. All caps on, all caps off, Susan. The other thing that she mentioned or wanted to do was have it enter the date and time. And there's really no way of doing that without actually going into the date here and actually setting a scheduled date. So I could not find a way, basically what she wanted to do is just have a reminder with the date in there, but not have it be a scheduled date. My only thing with that is maybe you might want to start using Notes for something like that, because Notes does put the date in there automatically of when it was created and things like that. I don't think the iPad, let's go back over to the iPad here, sort manual by creation date, but we can't see what the creation date is. Now, if I go to today here, you can see that, let's see, nope, it didn't do it. All, daily itinerary, reminders, errands, scheduled. So it's not really giving me what I want or what Susan wants. She wants to have these with the date in there. You could speak the date, but it's not going to keep it organized by date because the reminder will just look at it as text, not a physical date. So really, probably if I would say what you may want to do is mess around with Notes. If they're not a scheduled reminder or anything like that, you could go into your Notes app and delete that PDF. Then when you type in a note here, it will organize it by date in here. Let's see here. Customize toolbar. It should organize it by date. Maybe it's up here. Sort by title. So I'm going to sort by date created. And now I can see which ones were today, which ones were in the previous 30 days, but again, it doesn't actually have the date on there. Now, what you could also try, and maybe you can pipe in here, Evernote, does it put the date in there automatically without it being a scheduled date? Do you know? I know you really...
Yes, it does. You can search by date.
Okay. So maybe Evernote could be another option. They have a free version of that, right? A free tier?
Yes.
Yep. Ann is a big fan of Evernote, and she absolutely loves it. So maybe Evernote could be a solution as well. And Evernote is available on the Mac, iPad, and iPhone. So the date, Howard June said, the date is on each note. Oh, good point. Right here. You can see the date here, 11/19, 11/4. So thank you. Yep, the date is on there. So you can actually see the dates on there. So that could be a solution for the date. But all caps on, all caps off will do your capitalization. All right. Rolling along here. Is there any way to have different column widths in a table using Notes on the Mac? And I thought this was actually kind of interesting. And I thought, well, yeah, but then I tried it and I looked it up. And the short answer is no. Now, there's workarounds. What people are doing is working around it. So I'll show you what Doug is talking about here. So when I go into Notes here, I'm just going to create a new note. And you can see I can add a table up here. The table has different cells. I can move these cells around, rows and columns, headers, all that kind of stuff. But what I can't do, this is what Doug is wondering, is I want to resize this column area here. Maybe I need to have this one a little bit longer. You can't resize it. The only way you can resize it is by adding text. And this is how people are getting around it. I went on a couple of discussion forums for it. So I typed something in here. And I typed something in here. And what I would like to do is make this a little bit wider. So what they're saying, it's crude. It's crude. Spacebar. And eventually it should. It did work on, there it goes. You can see it's a little bit of a lag there, but you can see it's making it wider. And then if you want to make the row taller, you have to put a carriage return in there. So to do that, I think it's the option return.
But there's no way to minimize that so
No.
that if you're entering a date, you can save some space.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about. No, there's not a way to do that from what I searched for. And I tried a few different ways as well. I tried all the key combinations, and I couldn't find it. And like I say, I went to the forums, and that's basically what they said. So
No, it isn't numbers or Excel, so it's not surprising.
right. Yeah, it's a basic table, that kind of thing. And who knows, maybe they'll add it eventually. Now the question is, let's try this. I'm going to go into numbers here. Can we paste a table out of numbers and we'll keep that formatting? Let's try that. So we'll go.
Thought about that.
We'll go with this one here. I'm just going to take this one here and we will copy it. And let's paste it. Nope. I took all that formatting out. I can select them, but I can't move them. Like I say, I tried
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right. How do you set up an external drive on the Mac? So this comes from Bruce. So what I did is I unplugged my time machine, so I'm not going to format it. This is my time machine. But I have an external drive plugged into my little computer here, my MacBook Air. You can see it's just a standard drive here. And I actually recommend doing this whenever you get a new drive, reformat it. And the reason why I recommend doing that is because what Western Digital will do and all the other ones is they will put software on that drive, and they, it's like backup software, and they want you to use their software. Well, we all know that Time Machine works and it works well. Why would I want to use Western Digital? Time Machine works with any drive, where Western Digital, who knows, I just wouldn't trust my data. I trust my data with how Apple does it. So when you plug in a Western Digital, I'm going to pick on Western Digital. When you plug in a Western Digital drive, what it'll do is it'll, brand new out of the box, if it's formatted for the Mac, it'll ask you to install some backup software. And then it'll back up your Mac to that external drive, which is fine. But again, I like to use Time Machine. I don't want to use Western Digital. So the way that I usually get around that is I just erase it. I want that thing to be blank, just nothing on it. So the way that you do that is you need to go to your disk utility on the Mac. So I'm going to quit out of here, quit. And disk utility is located in your utilities folder in the applications folder. So I'm just going to go to Go. I'm in my Finder, and we have utilities. Again, this is just located, it's a folder. It's located in your applications folder. Been on the Mac. These utilities have been on the Mac since day one, Mac OS 10. So you're going to see one that is called disk utility. That's the one that we want. So when I double click on this, what I'm able to do is check the status of my hard drive. Not so much needed anymore, but in the old days, you could repair a hard drive, you could defrag a hard drive, all that kind of stuff. But nowadays, you don't really need to do that. But the one thing you can do or need to do is you need to erase a drive. So when you erase a drive, what you basically need to do is format it. You need to format it for a Mac. So what do I mean by that? Well, like Windows computer is formatted in TSF. It's just a formatting kind of all behind the scenes. If you format it in TSF, a Windows computer will be able to read and write it. On a Mac, you will only be able to read from it. You can't write to it. If you format a Mac for Mac OS X Extended, a Windows computer won't be able to read it. This is basically, all hard drives are for the most part the same, but when you see a drive at Best Buy that is formatted for a Mac, all they did is they just put Mac OS Extended on it or whatever the format is needed for the Mac. You can do this manually through disk utility, so you don't have to really buy a Mac drive. You just need to buy a hard drive. It can be for Windows, it can be for Unix, be for whatever. Don't pay the extra $10 or whatever, because it's typically what they will do is they'll charge you more for the Mac version. Buy the Windows version and reformat it. So let's just say that this is a brand new drive. Well, if we look here, you're going to see I have internal. So these are my internal drives. These are the ones you want to stay away from. This is your internal drive, what your Mac is on. But you're also going to see external. So these are the drives that are plugged into your computer. So when I select this, what I'm able to do is go and erase it. I click on erase. You're going to see format here. And what I'm able to do is format it for different companies or different areas. Now, this one is already formatted for the Mac. APFS is really what you want. You don't want to do encrypted. You don't want to do case sensitive. Just go APFS, and you'll be. That is what they come with now. Standard is just standard APFS. And then I would name it. Excuse me. And I would click on erase, and it'll erase that drive. I'm not going to do that. Now, where it said that format there, what you would be able, if this was a brand new drive, you would probably see MS-DOS, is it MS-DOS? FAT32, NTSF, Mac OS X Extended, all kinds of different things. So for a Mac, for the most part, anything in the last 5 years, you want to go with APFS. This is what the iPhone is formatted with. It's made for solid state drives, but it also does work well for spinning, the old spinning drives as well. And this drive here is a spinning drive, the one that I have connected here, and you're going to see it is formatted as APFS. For the most part, anything for the Mac is now APFS. That's what I would recommend. So really, that's all you have to do. Just be a little cautious because you can erase, make sure you want to erase that drive. Go to external. If you have multiple drives plugged into your computer, what I recommend doing is unplugging all of the drives except for the one that you want to format. Why? So you don't accidentally erase the other drive. I only have one drive plugged into this computer, which means this is the only one. I'm not going to accidentally click on another one and delete it, erase it. So I recommend unplugging everything, all your external drives, plug in the one you want to erase it, then plug all the other ones back in, and you should be good. So that's basically all there is to reformatting a drive. Once you reformat it and put it as APFS, what you'll be able to do is go into Time Machine and when you add and remove disks, you'll be able to add that drive to it, and it'll be used for Time Machine. So it's pretty simple to do in all actuality. It's just be a little scary because you're erasing a drive, but it's really not that bad.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah?
The problem wasn't formatting. The problem was formatting on one computer that I use all the time, then moving to a new M2 that had never had a drive attached to it. And Ventura has security settings in there that you have to allow for it to even mount on the desktop.
Okay, that is with...
You can't replicate it because you already have a drive attached to it.
Right.
Right.
Is that File Vault possibly?
Well, My other problem was I was in Ventura. Are you in Ventura?
No, I'm not in Ventura.
Yeah, it was a Ventura thing.
Okay. I'll have to look into that. I do have Ventura on this computer. I could just reboot it in that.
In
But
the email I sent you, I put the link to the article that gave me the answer.
okay. Yeah, it was from Apple Insider, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Something. Yeah. Okay. I'll look at that. And yeah.
Okay.
Dan,
Yeah.
I went through this process myself about a week ago with a brand new, fresh out of the box Western Digital 14 terabyte drive and formatted it precisely as you had outlined just now. And with Ventura, I didn't have any difficulty at all with APFS. And the actual formatting process took maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
I think what Bruce is talking about is it was coming from another computer. So that is where it had probably some kind of an encryption on it. And then when it went into Ventura, wasn't able to read it. Is that right, Bruce?
It wouldn't even mount on the desktop.
Wouldn't even
Really.
mount,
See
yeah.
it. Right.
So I'll have to see if I have an old drive around here and just tinker with that. And I still have your email with that Apple Insider article. So, but yeah, that's the basics of how you do it. Okay.
Is that the same, Dan?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Is that the same process that I will use I bought a hub that has an external SSD
Yes.
that I,
Yep. SSD is just another hard drive. It's just solid state.
right. So I'm just going to erase that. I don't know that it came with anything on it, but I just choose to erase it and just format it with APFS.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. That's what when we have these little SSD drives over at the school, and I would just go there and I'd erase it. So I'd start with a clean slate.
Okay.
Dan,
Right.
I had a question about Amazon selling these unbelievably 12 terabyte SSD drives for like $100. Okay, they were regular external drives. SSD, theoretically. They were formatted for Windows, and when I plugged them into my Mac, they didn't even appear on Disk Utility. So I thought, well, because I think it was one that Mac didn't recognize. It was not FAT32, but FAT64 or something like that, and it didn't see it. So I went down into the pit of despair where my PC is,
Right.
and the PC saw it and bumped it right up. So what I did is I erased it. Okay, made it and
Like a FAT32 or something.
32, yeah. And I brought it back up and it saw it. Then I went to format it in Apple and something had, and then something happened to them where it said the last something could not be accessed and the format failed. Okay, so the format continued to fail in these unbelievably cheap, made in China SSD drives. So I had to send them back, but I was so ticked.
Yeah, when you
don't know
said
what it was.
12 terabyte for SSD for $100, I guess that goes old adage, you get what you pay for, right? That's
Well,
that.
unfortunately, yeah, but I have to, Amazon's easy to return.
Oh yeah, no, you have to give it a try. Absolutely, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I have to give it a try. But so let me, I don't know what anybody is planning to do with SSD drives, but if you see an unbelievably large drive, SSD, 2.5 inch, it's not the strip drive. It's not the SSD with like a RAM looking thing, but it's a half inch, the laptop type drive. Don't buy it.
Or make sure you can return it.
Just, or make sure you can return it. You might have better luck with me.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be nice. I have a Drobo unit here, a RAID Drobo, and that would be really nice in there. So I got a little red light on one of
I
them
don't know
because
what
it's,
it would do in there.
yeah, I don't know. Who knows? And Drobo formats it their own way, you know, but
Well, maybe that'll work.
yeah.
Just
I didn't know they
kept
were
saying
getting that cheap.
Apple said, well, I didn't think they're getting that cheap, and that's why I thought, a miracle.
All right. Let's see. What do we have next? Melissa, my Mac, iPad, and iPhone aren't syncing. Any suggestions? Well, really, there's not a whole lot to getting these devices to sync anymore. As long as you are logged in to the same iCloud account on all the devices. And then it really should just work. So when I see this problem, the things that I do is I will make sure that the Mac is signed into, I'll go to the Apple ID here. I'll make sure that this email address is your iCloud account on the Mac. Then I would do the same thing on the iPad. And I would go to the settings app, wherever that is. And you're going to see that. I have John Noteboom Productions at me, so I'm good there. And I would do the same thing on the phone. Okay, they're all signed in with the same account. But still not saying that everything's going to sync. The next thing you need to do is you need to make sure that the things that you want to sync are turned on. And sometimes these are turned off. People will turn them off. They don't use certain features of it. As an example here, if I go to iCloud here, iCloud is a lot of different services now. We have notes, we have mail, we have reminders, we have calendars, iCloud Drive, all kinds of these different services. So what you'll want to do is make sure that whatever services you are using is turned on. So you're going to see that. Oh, ready to click something there. I have iCloud Mail is turned on. And then I would make sure I'd go over to my Mac and I would make sure that iCloud Mail is turned on. It has a check there. If you're using Ventura, you go into the settings app, it looks a little bit different, but basically it's the same thing. Actually, it's very similar to how the iPad works in the settings app. If we go back over to the iPad, you can see it just has a few services here, but when you click on Show All here, now I can see these are all the different services that Apple provides. And then other apps can also sync into it. So this is just Apple here. And this is my demo account. But if we look, I have all these other apps here that are using iCloud. So what I would want to make sure is that these are turned on over on my Mac and as well as on my iPhone. And that's pretty much all there is to it. What you may need to do, being that this is all in iCloud, I have seen this a couple times. The last thing I would recommend doing is if it still doesn't work, is go into iCloud.com. So Apple recently redesigned this. It's actually quite nice. Go to iCloud.com and see if everything is there. If everything is there, we'll pick on the reminders. If your reminders are showing up on iCloud, but when you go and add a new reminder on the iPad, if it doesn't show up in iCloud, that means that there's a disconnect with the iPad. If it does show up on iCloud, okay, that means that your iPad is communicating with iCloud. That's good. We're good there. So then I would go to the Mac, go into the Reminders app, add a reminder. If it goes into iCloud here, okay, it's communicating with iCloud. We're good. And then do the same thing on the iPhone. You got to find where that disconnect is. Once you find where that disconnect is, let's just say it was the iPad. The iPad isn't working properly. Then what I would do is go to the account and sign out. It's okay to sign out because everything is in the cloud. And this thing hasn't been communicating anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All the good stuff is in the cloud. So when you sign out here, what you're able to do is sign back in, and then it'll create that new connection. And then in most cases, what I've seen is it fixes all the problems. So is that I probably should have asked this before. Is that kind of what the problem is things aren't syncing up? You're not getting the same information?
So every single thing you just said
Yeah.
has been done.
Okay.
The Genius bars are usually, what are they usually, like a half hour long
Yeah.
sessions, or they spent 2.5 hours with me.
What? Wow.
I complimented the guy at the beginning, and I think he liked that. So he spent 2.5 hours with me, and he ended up using the migration assistant to, what migration assistant
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working. So I have an old MacBook Pro, and I have a new MacBook Air with the chip. And I'm not as savvy as all of you guys, but please bear with me. I also have an iPod, which I use all the time, an iPad, which I don't, and then a cracked mini iPad, which doesn't matter anyway. Should the ones that I don't use have any effect with the ones that I do?
No.
Okay.
have.
So anyway, my initial password, I was also on the phone for several hours with Apple. They had me sign out, sign in, all that good stuff. And it kept on asking for a password of mine. And this is a password that is through my internet service, Huawei. So it's not the point. My main Apple password is Gmail. My iPod kept on asking for this old Huawei password.
Okay.
And the lady couldn't help me through Apple on the phone. So she said, I'm going to have to get the big dog. Got her. She was confused also. She said, I don't know what to do. After a couple hours on the phone with another person, she goes, I'm going to have to get back with you. So we finally got back with each other, and she did manage. She said she did something like put it to sleep, that one internet connection, my initial first Huawei account. It was interrupting, or I don't understand what. She never did tell me.
Okay, but she got it to work?
Yes,
It sounds like it was trying to connect up with the old password, exactly what you're saying, if I'm understanding you right. I don't know why, but that's...
It's been 7 years of headaches. I was getting ready to give up on Apple because nobody could help me. It was, I think I've been sending you emails too, where you were getting back with me, and you probably were like, this girl has no idea what she's doing. She needs to watch my lessons first. I didn't know how to explain
Right.
terminology. But anyway, so now my old Mac is not communicating with my other 3 devices now that I use, my iPod, my Mac, and my phone.
So the 3 of them are communicating. It's all working right. It's now just your old Mac.
Yes.
Okay. So it's progress.
That is progress. Okay, so maybe this is the situation. I might have too much music on my old Mac. I had almost 50,000 songs on there, all downloaded, my music. I don't do the streaming thing. I like my music. I go into the woods. I know I'm going to have my music. It's not going to disappear. Anyway, he told me I needed to go remove a lot of that to make space possibly. So it can go to this computer, which doesn't have a ton of space.
That could be, I know when a computer, iPad, iPhone, Mac, Windows, it doesn't matter what it is, when they are low on space, they like to have about, if they get below 10% space, so let's just say you have 128 gigabyte drive. That's a really small one, but let's just say, if you're down to 12 gigabytes, 15 gigabytes of free space, computers will just do all sorts of odd things, unexplainable things in my mind.
That happened to me already. I've been through
Mm-hmm.
that too.
Yeah.
So that's when I learned to get rid of a lot of the space.
Yeah, you
So
just
I
they
went back
they
to
need they need breathing room, and if it's just random. That's the first thing when somebody for everyone, when I hear a question with somebody that's like having just random issues with different things, my first go-to in my head is check your hard drive space, because there's no rhyme or reason to what it'll do. It just can't do stuff, whatever.
So let's just say I've been working on deleting a lot of my songs, and should I try the migration assistant again once I feel like there's going to be enough space?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to recommend, because it sounds like this might be above, if you've had Apple involved, there's probably not much. The only thing I would say is, I'd find it just it should just delete the account and add it back in and it'll work. I mean, that just works every time. So it's something it has to be something on Apple's end. So I really would refrain on recommending what to do next, because that's above my pay grade,
Dan,
Yeah.
I've had a problem with music before, with music that I had on my Mac that I had copied to my Mac from a CD drive, CD to putting on my Mac. And also anything that's not in Apple Music's library,
Yeah.
that it's not considered that you either purchased it through Apple Music, shared it through someone else who owns that music. There are issues with using music on your Mac, your iPad, your whatever, without having Apple's okay about them. So that can be a problem. Also, I purchased music under an old Apple ID that I could not use in my new Mac because my old Apple ID doesn't work anymore. And the music from that Apple ID is no longer considered valid to use with my new machine. So I had a lot of those kinds of issues that, it required me to decide whether do I want to keep that music? Do I want to, quote, purchase it again directly through Apple? Or, some such way to keep it on a hard drive that's separate so that I didn't have to use it, or put it in my, quote, Apple music library.
So, can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I can't tell you how many times the guy said that at the Genius Bar. He definitely was emphatic about that. Of course, he doesn't want people stealing music, and I know how Apple is. He did something. I think he did some things he wasn't supposed to do for me. First of all, spending 2.5 hours. He got around some things. And he said, you're going to be able to keep all of your music once you get rid of some of it to make space for your computer. It should all just go fluidly over to your new computer. I don't know what he did, but he promised it would work.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of little tricks that you can use.
And I have all of my music on my iPod now, which I didn't have before.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I got all my music. So I have no idea.
Well, I can tell you, my experience of working at the Apple Store as a Genius. They give us a lot of, Apple's really good with, giving us a lot of freedom. I mean, when I first started there, we used to be able to spend 30 minutes, and then it got down to 20 minutes, and then we were supposed to only spend, I think it was 10 or 15 minutes. So you did really well there. They just got to roll them through.
Me.
But we had the freedom to, our goal, and this comes from Apple, is to, satisfy the customer, kind of thing. And, if the customer is really nice, and I always tell people, like, if they have a cracked phone or whatever, be honest with the Genius, and, and they have the ability to do certain things, based on personality and everything. And he probably did pull a few tricks of the trade. So for everyone out there, if you do go to an app store, be nice to the genius, and you're going to get a lot further. I can tell you
Bring
that.
cookies. Bring cookies.
Bring him
There
cookies.
you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. Next we have from Dale. He cannot consistently open MSN.com on his Mac. The site says it is not secure, and I've seen this come up not with MSN, but with different sites. And but I was surprised to see it was with MSN, so I had to do a little Google search on this. Is Dale here? Did I see his name?
I am here.
Yep. Okay. Hi, Dale. So the first thing is, of course, you can find anything you want on the internet. But it seems like for a while there, Microsoft was having a problem with this particular issue. I can't believe that this would still be a problem. But basically what happened was, the MSN has, 10,000 servers out there. Well, they did a migration or they upgraded it or whatever, and some of the servers, when you go to MSN, you might be going to the one over in Washington, D.C., 9 times out of 10, but that 10th time, if that one's real busy, you might be going to the one over, in Texas or something like that. And what they didn't do was a proper certificate upgrade, blah, blah, blah with it. So this was why people were hitting it every once in a while. Exactly what you're talking about. I can't imagine that would still be an issue, but I didn't see when the date was on that. Do I have that page still pulled up? Fujitsu, receipts, records, scan. Nope, I don't have it pulled up here anymore. So that could be one reason, but I'm skeptical of that reason. But it could be. The other, it's nothing with your computer, although what you can try is when you run into that, have you tried it with Chrome or Brave or DuckDuckGo, any other browser? Oh, you said Firefox, didn't you?
Yes, Firefox brings it up.
And it does work.
It's actually with my laptop. It's a MacBook Air, but an earlier 2013. And it does work on my iMac.
Huh.
It is intermittent most of the time, but every once in a while it starts working for a period of time, and then it goes back and to the not secure. But on my iMac, it will come up all the time.
All the time. So it's the older one. I don't have a good reason why. The only thing I can think of is, maybe something in that older browser is not, they talked about TLS and the security and what they had to do to upgrade it, and maybe the older browser isn't just set up for that properly. Use Firefox. I hate to say that, but, that'd be the only thing I can that I can think of. I don't think it's anything on your computer per se, from everything that I've read, but I'm not a security expert.
I guess the other thing is that this is not, and this just started a month or two ago. It hasn't been forever. It's always worked consistently, and then a month or two ago, this started.
When you get that little thing that says this site is not secure, is there a button there that says trust? Does that ring a bell?
Shield to the side.
Well, here, I'll show you. So I just did MSN not secure, and you're going to see right on the get-go. Of course, this is from 2018, though. That's why I say I can't really believe that it's still going on to this day. But they do seem to have. Why is MSN saying not secure? How do I fix this? When I try to access, it won't open. That's from Apple community. So there is definitely something going on. I just don't know what it would be, and I can't believe that it still be going on, although here we have it from 2020.
The date on that Apple community one was current. I just noticed.
Oh yeah, September 21.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we can just blame it on Microsoft, can't we? But I don't have a clear answer for you because it's just like misconfigured. The other thing that people said, but I'm sure you're good with this, is make sure that you have HTTPS. But I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Dale knows that.
Don't be so sure.
Okay.
I don't even bother putting that in anymore. I just usually put it in any site that I go to. I just put in.
So if you go, if this has doesn't have an S in it, that means that it's not secure. Typically, what'll happen is most websites, like even mine, what it'll do is it will automatically redirect it to the HTTPS. That's what it's supposed to do. And maybe they have it automatically redirected it. Let's go to MSN. So I'm at MSN here, and I'm just going to take the S out. So just HTTP. Yeah, see, it redirected it to HT. So I didn't think that would be it. That's an old trick. Before everything was using HTTPS. So yeah, I don't. Seems like they still have a problem with it when I do a little Google search on it. Sorry, not much help on that one. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I have a question. Oh.
Yeah.
I have a question about my hard drive, the main hard drive on my iMac Pro, and I'm with the new one, whatever that is, the newest OS
Ventura. Yeah.
I've been with Ventura. When I go into the hard drive's info, I have the system reads and writes, the wheel and the everyone read only. And so when I want to add an administrator like myself to the piece, I get this operation can't be done because you don't have the necessary permissions. Now, is something going on with that? I don't get it. It's me.
Well, let me reboot into Ventura on my computer. I'm going to go to the next question. We'll come back to that while this thing reboots. How about that?
Sure. Okay.
I've got a comment on that.
Yeah, go for it.
I had a person I was helping today that suddenly had her download folder got that same error message, and she didn't do anything different. So something happened. She's running Ventura. So I just went in, I connected to her computer, and I went in and looked at the settings, the folder settings, and it had changed. It had blocked her, and all I had to do was fix it. I had to change it so she had read-write permissions as the owner, but it had suddenly, unexplainably changed. So something strange is going on there.
Well, I know with Ventura, they're adding a lot more permissions, and I think it was actually pre-Ventura where they, even with when you go with an external drive, they had some things. My computer should be booting up.
This is her normal download drive, internal, that she's used forever, and it
Right.
just suddenly stopped working, and that was the problem. But I don't know why the problem happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I said. Huh.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. I'm waiting for my computer. I'll go on to the next one here, and we'll come back and see what. There it goes. It's booting up now.
Yeah.
Tom Piper, I don't think he's here. He's got like 20 million Christmas parties, he told me, that he's been attending. How do I find a cheap hotel? I think he was just trying to be cute. I use my wife. She is a master at finding hotels. Like when we go down to Florida and all that, she's I'll drive and she's the navigator and she's just plugging away on her phone. But generally speaking, we use hotels.com and been very happy with it. Get nice little deals off of it because we use it often, and she'll go and read the reviews. But it is kind of funny not to, this is completely getting off topic, off of Mac topic, Apple topic. But when we went to Florida the last time, with wow, hotels are getting expensive. We were really surprised because we usually try to find something about $150 a night or something, and we couldn't find anything. Even in Ocala, we stayed in Ocala, Phil, and it was over $200 a night, which is just for us. We're coming in at 9 o'clock at night and leaving at 9 in the morning. All we need is a bed to sleep in. We don't need anything. So, yeah. But anyway, I use my wife, so that's all I can tell you on how to find cheap hotels. She's the master. All right. All right. Barry actually emailed me this, and his question. So he uses Cursor Pro. And the Cursor Pro is something that I use as well. And you may have seen it when I move my cursor around. I have the little blue circle there. And if I use the function key, what I'm able to do is zoom in. So this is how I highlight things in my tutorials or anything. Oh, okay, so what we need to do is we need to go down to the trash. You can see our trash over here in the lower. Oh, we need to go up to the Apple menu. So that's basically what I use is Cursor Pro to do that. Well, what he's running into, and I don't have an answer for you, Barry. I can just tell you it does work. That's all I got. So he tried to get it to work with Zoom, and it wouldn't work. So I'll show you, Barry. Let me see. Here we go. Can I? Is this it? All right, you are seeing my Mac here. Can I move that window out of the way? I don't want that window in front. Anyway, you're going to see, if we look on the left side here, you can see that I have Cursor Pro running, and this is just standard Zoom. If I'm not using share screen, but if I were to share the screen, I'll do that.
Well, we're seeing it.
So here, desktop 1. So now you can see my screen, correct?
Yeah.
And you can see the little blue halo, right?
Yeah.
And if I hold down the function key, it zooms in, all nice and...
Yeah, I've had 2 clients already that I haven't been able to use it on.
So
And yet I use I have an older Mac, no problem. But not on Ventura, that's what I was having problems. But at least I thought that's what it was.
yeah, it definitely works. So all I can tell you is it does work. Take a look at all the settings and just see if there's something else there that is missing. But it definitely does work. So I guess I am able to help because I can confirm that it does work.
Yep.
All right, and for other people, that Cursor Pro, it really is. It's a nice. You can get it through the App Store. It's called Cursor Pro. I actually have in one of my tutorials. It's one of my favorite apps. And especially when you're dealing with multiple monitors, the whole thing of trying to find the cursor can get a little. You can't find it. So basically, with that Cursor Pro, it puts a little halo there, and you can have the halo not show. So I'm going to enable it again here. Yeah, now there we go. And if I don't do anything, it disappears. So it's not always there, but then where's that cursor? Especially with multiple monitors. All you have to do is just move it. Oh, there's the cursor. And you can resize that ring. You can make it really small so it's not so big. You don't have to have it magnified. You can change the color. But if you are one of those people where you're constantly doing this to make the cursor bigger, that's an old Mac trick. You can move the mouse or trackpad, and it'll make the cursor bigger to find it. Well, you can also use Cursor Pro. And I've tried a few of these different options, and Cursor Pro seems to be my favorite. It works really well. The only thing that I've run into with it, I don't know if you've seen this, Barry, is when you have to click on a dialog box, such as enter in a password or whatever, that window goes right on top of everything else. And sometimes what I have to do is I have to disable it to type in a password or something. Very rare, but every once in a while I do have to disable it in order to go forward on. So I can't click on something. I don't know what it is, but great program, Cursor Pro. All right.
Yeah, one other thing, this has nothing to do with Cursor Pro. I had the opportunity to use a passkey for the first time on my phone, and it works amazingly. All I have to do is click on it when you're given the opportunity, instead of passwords. And I use a Simply Safe in my house, and that's one of the websites that allows you to do that. It was the very first time I've even seen it come up.
What is it again?
Passkey.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of passwords.
Passkey. The new passkey.
The new passkey. And then you're able to keep all that information stays in your phone. To use it kind of all over the world, not necessarily just on your computer. So it's really interesting, new technology, and it'll be interesting to see how adopted it becomes.
All right. And it looks like I'm going to have to look into this. It looks like my website is built with WordPress. So in my redesign or, upgrading my website, this is going to be something that I'll look into, adding passkeys to it. It's probably just a simple plugin that I have to put in there. So
One Password program says that they're going to, in the next release, I think they're going to be incorporating passkeys capability.
They said that it was going to, it's going to take a couple of years for everyone to fully embrace it, but once everyone embraces it, it'll be really nice. So I will definitely look
at websites that are using it right now. I think like Kayak is one of them, for example. There's a couple other ones. Apple has a whole list of them who are using them right now. Okay. It's just interesting because it just came up on my phone. I didn't have to do anything. It just gave me the option to use the biometrics, and that's exactly what it's created for.
Well, maybe my site will have it sooner than later. We'll see.
There you go. Sounds good.
All right. Let's see here. And that's it. So let's go back to I'm running. We'll go back to the folder thing here before I forget. So I'm running macOS Ventura here. Yep, Ventura. So essentially, of course, do I have an external? Yeah, here's an external drive. So if I go and get info on it, what we're talking about here, for those that aren't familiar with it, is when you go I'll start over. If you select a folder or a hard drive or anything like that, I'll go and create a new folder here. What you can do is you can adjust the permissions for that specific folder, that specific hard drive, who can access it, who can read to it, who can write to it. This has been around again forever. And the way that you do that, is you first select it, and then you just go to Get Info here. When you go to Get Info, down at the bottom, you're going to see Sharing and Permissions. So this is what, I forget who was talking about it, but this is what they were talking about. And you're going to see you have all kinds of different, it doesn't have wheel in there, but all these different Unix types users and this, that, and this, that, and the other. But basically, you can see that on this folder here, Johnny Appleseed can read and write. Anybody else can only read to it. They can only get the documents out of it. They cannot write anything, so they're not going to be able to write to it. Now, this is on the computer itself, so that kind of makes sense, but you can do the same thing with external drives. So I have this selected. I go over to my Get Info, and if we go to Sharing and Permissions, Custom Access. I have Custom Access set on because Time Machine's using it, probably. But basically what I'd be able to do is set the same kind of thing. And this is what Dale was talking about where, sometimes it'll just say somebody doesn't have rights to it or anything like that. So what you have to do, I'll do it with the folder here. Sometimes what you'll have to do is just say Johnny Appleseed, or let's just say I want everyone to be able to read and write to it. So all I have to do is just go over here to Read and Write. And then you go here and you want to apply to all enclosed items. Otherwise, it's just going to be to the top folder. And then once you do that, Everything in that folder will be able to be read by anyone else. I could log into another user on this computer. So I have another user called Abigail. I have another user called Tim Cook. And, I could log into those users, and if I were to change this to everyone, they would be able to access this folder because it's accessible by everyone. And then I have to make sure that I have applied to and closed items. So that's what we're talking about. And sometimes those permissions will get out of whack. And let's go back to disk utility. This was a common thing years ago, not so much anymore, but they had under first aid here. I'm not going to run it. I don't want to screw anything up. Here, I'll do it on a time machine. First aid. Well, what it would do is it would go through and redo some of the permissions on it, because sometimes those permissions get messed up. Generally speaking, you don't have to do that anymore. So it's surprising to see that happening, still happening to this day, I guess. Well, probably not too surprising, but that's basically what we were talking about earlier. I don't have a why it's doing that, but basically what they're saying, you just have to go in there and change the permissions. So,
Dan?
Yeah.
Could I make a comment on an earlier topic that we were talking about, being managing tables and notes? For the past couple months, I've switched from notes to the app called UpNote, which has been getting a lot of attention. It works very similarly to Notes, but it has a lot of features that Notes are missing, like exporting all the data out of it.
Okay.
But the table, when you create a table in UpNote, you can change the width of the cells.
Oh.
Very easy. Just drag the divider. And while we were talking, I just tested it, and so something people might want to take a look at.
Yeah, UpNote,
really,
and I'm going to assume
really good app.
I'm going to assume that Evernote would do the same thing. And maybe this is something that we need to remember. Apple is not in the they're not catering to the business. They're catering to the consumers, and most people don't really need to do that. If you need to, like their mail. I'm not a huge fan of their mail app. I use Spark, and the mail app is good for most people. But when you're running a business or anything like that, sometimes you need other features, and this is where Apple will leave it up to other developers, such as UpNote, Evernote, Spark, kind of thing. So sometimes what you just need to do is get out of the Apple ecosystem and go with something else. I mean, I probably would be using more third-party apps, except I do like to keep things simple, and I like the challenge. But also, I need to stay on top of I need to use them on a daily basis. So when people have questions, I can answer them. The only one that I really don't use on a daily basis is mail. But I know enough about it to where I can get myself around it. So, but yeah, as a mental note, I think when you want to start doing some heavier stuff, sometimes third-party apps are the way to go. So.
You're a rebel, Dan. You're a rebel.
I'm a rebel, yes. So I see in the chat. So that's what we have for questions. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing. I mentioned this earlier before we started the actual AMA. I've been a little bit quiet on the video front of it. I did add a video today, but that's because I've been rolling out an update to my site. It's a pretty big update. And I just started doing it over the weekend, and then all of a sudden I didn't think I would dive. I just went head first, with it. I'm kind of excited about it, and it still needs a lot of work. I'm finding little bugs here and there, which is great. Finding bugs that have been in my site, like the big one was that when you went to Tutor for iPad, it actually didn't take you to the tutorial. It took you to an event. So you couldn't get to all the lessons. I don't know how long it's been like that, but it's working now. But when I upgrade these sites, I do this probably every 3 or 4 years. It gives me the opportunity to go into the site and make sure that everything's all working with it. But anyway, so I'll show you a little bit about what the site entails. There's a lot more features that are coming to it. I'm going to sign in here. And let's go with demo. For the most part, it works the same way. When you log in, what you are taken to is the front page. The front page did change. I'll just go through and highlight some of the different changes here. Front page did change. It's a little cleaner look, I think. And we have my upcoming events here. I'll talk more about events here shortly. Then I have my new and updated lessons. And then below that, we have news from around the web. I grabbed these from Mac, CNN, Apple Insider, Daring, Fireball, iMore. And it grabs, I think, twice a day. So this is a way that you could go and see what's new or what's out there. And when you click on any one of these, it actually takes you over to their website. So I'm not scraping their content or anything like that. I'm just more or less trying to provide you a single place where you can go and find all kinds of information. And then your notes are down at the bottom. This front page here might change a little bit, but that's basically the structure of it. When you go to tutorials here, this page here will also be cleaned up just a little bit. But if I go over to, let's go over to favorite apps. This is what I'm cleaning up. The lessons and classes are nicely organized. I did have another, most of the apps have most of the lessons have another, so there was the tutorial, then you had the topic, and then you had the lesson. So they had quite a bit of hierarchy in there. So I'm trying to clean that up a little bit. I have to be a little careful with SEO because I don't want to lose my ranking with Google because it does change a lot of stuff. And I could go and change the SEO, but I don't want to do that for 1,600 lessons. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. But anyway, when you click on any one of these, let's go to one that has a lot of lessons. We'll go to Tutor for iPad now that it's working. So let's say that you go to sharing from within apps. Now what it'll do is it'll take you to that video, but you may have seen that on the left side here, it brought that lesson right up to the top. And now what you're able to do is independently scroll to go to any one of the lessons in there, and you have all of the information over here. So it independently scrolls there. If you go to lessons are just the lessons, so nothing new there. You've got the lessons there. Events, I changed the way that events work. And this is, I've actually had a pretty good system, but it still had a few little issues with it, and I didn't necessarily like the way that it looked. With this one here, you can see it looks nice there. I want to go to, I want to see this in a month view. I can see it in a month view. I can go back. I can look for go to a previous month if I wanted to and see all the classes or webinars that I've had for that. If I want to see it in a nice little photo kind of collage, I can see that. You're going to see I have this is one problem I'm having is broken images. So I'm working on that as well. You can search for events. You want to go and see all the past events. You can do that as well. So this is everything that's past. You can see today's is on there as a past event. And then when you go to an event, let's go to upcoming again here. So we're going to go to next week's here. I'm going to have a class on macOS Ventura. We have a nice little countdown, and someone from Australia confirmed that it does work across their time zone because my old countdown didn't take into account for people in different time zones. I didn't realize that. So she emailed me, and I believe it does work for that. But here you're going to see meeting details. You can click on it, and you're going to see all the meeting details, the meeting ID, the password, all that. So you can always go to the site to find all of this information. So even if you register, you can still register for my classes and all that, and that will send you that information. But some of you know I've had a few problems with that. I think I got it all fixed. But point being, I needed I want to have a nice backup, in case something does go wrong. Well, now what you will always be able to do is just go over here, meeting details, and you're going to be able to see everything, including the passcode. 2 hours before the meeting, this is going to turn into a button, and all you have to do is just click on the button and you can join the meeting. So it's pretty simple. You can add it to the calendar. It does not add the Zoom link to the calendar, but it does add a link to the page. So it's not, I know some people want to have a Zoom link there. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that, and I'm going to try to stay away from custom coding. I custom coded a lot of the old site, which kind of slows it down, and I want to try to speed it up a little bit. But the solution is still pretty good. It adds it to your calendar. It adds a link to your calendar. Click on that link, and you're going to be taken right to this page with the start button. So it's one extra step. Not too bad. It's not going to open up directly in Zoom, but you're very close to it. So that is the events and Apple News. This is the aggregator, what I call the aggregator here, and we can see all the latest news here. And if you want to see everything from the Apple Newsroom, just click on that. You can see everything from the Apple Newsroom. I've had this aggregator on here for, I want to say a year or two now, and it's like I say, it's pulling a couple times a day. So what's probably the coolest thing about this, and I didn't really realize this, is I have thousands of articles from these websites. And we all know when we go to that website, let's say if we go to Apple Insider, try to find something on there. Their goal is, the advertising. I get it, but you can't really find anything. Well, the nice thing is my site is kind of indexing their site for you, and what you're able to do is search anything on my site. So let's just say I wanted to search for screenshots. Seems to be my favorite search. So I go up to search here, and I go screenshots, and I'll just hit return here. It'll load suggestions, but it's searching through several thousand articles here. And you're going to see that I have 132 articles from various websites, all dealing with screenshots. So maybe somebody else has a solution that I don't have. But also you're going to see I have lessons on screenshots. I have 14 lessons on it. And then I also have different events that deal with screenshots. So what you're able to do is go to blog posts, and this is going to be all of the different articles. So maybe iMore has something on it. Here's an iOS 14 to 15 comparison article. I didn't do that, but you're able to click on this.
And is that aggregator plugin using RSS feeds?
Yes, it's using RSS feeds. Yep.
What's the name of that aggregator?
I'm using one. It's a free one. I'm Dutch. I'm cheap. I should pay for one, and I probably will eventually, because then I can whittle out sponsors. But now it just pulls everything, including sponsors for those sites. It's called Cyberlight, but they are only a paid version. They no longer have a free version, so that's why I might switch anyway. But basically, what you're able to do is kind of search. So if you wanted to find everything out about Mac OS Ventura. So right now I'm searching multiple sites. How a single Mac OS app finally convinced me to switch. The top 5 new features of Mac OS 13. And these are all from different sites. Apple killed passwords. There's the passkey, kind of thing. And if I got rid of that little thing there, eventually I will. There's a button there where you can say view all, or I can just hit return. And now, so you can kind of use my site as a good starting point. And here's all of the blog posts. Here's all the lessons, on Mac OS Ventura, everything that I have, that kind of thing. So that's kind of a nice little, I really like this search side of it.
So those search results that it's finding are searching the RSS feeds that it pulled in? Because
so the way that I have those RSS feeds come in, so like what Naples does, they have an RSS feed as well. They didn't go as far as what I do. basically what they do is they just kind of pull an RSS feed and it just shows you the last, 5 or 6 or 10 articles, but that's it. It doesn't actually incorporate it into the site. I actually pulled that information into my site, so then my site can index it and search it. As in, so
Is
if I...
that Apple News? Is that how you get to it?
No, it's just something completely outside of Apple News.
No, so how do we get to it on your site to get those things again?
Well, all you have to do is just go to, Apple News. I'm sorry, I thought I was talking about the app.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, sorry.
So go to that and,
Yeah.
then put in your search bar. Okay.
Yep. And,
So once it aggregates that, it's physically on your site then.
it's physically on my site. I have like 13, let me look on I'm logged in. So here you can see it took me over to Macworld. But if I go to blog posts here, so you saw when I clicked on that title, it takes you over to Macworld.
Right.
But if I click on it here, it keeps it in my site. I can't really, but this is everything that my site index, but then also I do have read original posts from Macworld. Most people are going to it'll just take them there, but this is all that's in my site, so it's indexing all that and it's all searchable. Anything that's in this article is now searchable. So, and I can tell you here how many articles I have, because I don't write a lot of articles, as you know. So as that's pulling that up, and then I have my microblog here. There it is. Let's go to posts, all posts. And I have 14,000 articles. So, and most of those, vast majority of those are from all these different sites. So you'll be able to search for something maybe even a year ago or that kind of thing. So the microblog is something that you've heard me touch on in earlier things. Basically what I'm using this for right now is it's a place for me to share updates. So this is where you're going to see I have a little thing on. I found a big issue with my tutorials. Tutor for iPad wasn't working. And here you can now find your membership information. All you have to do is just go under here and you can see your membership, your subscription, your payments. My whole thing is if somebody wants to unsubscribe, I'm not going to try to hide it from them. It's all right down here. Account information, all that stuff. You can also, when you're looking at this, view any upcoming classes, my latest lessons and videos. It has the latest news in here. And then, of course, my little microblog. Little thing somebody discovered, and I didn't realize I turned it on, but this is open to everybody. So if you were to log in to the site and go to Dan's microblog, you're going to see up at the top here, share what's on your mind, and you can type in your own thing. So somebody put in here, Roma, very good update on your site. Ross is the first one that discovered it. Have you updated to the latest beta? Apple Music Sing is now available. So he just commented on Sing. So I went and looked it up and commented back on him. If he were to log back in, he would see a little notification here saying that I commented on it, and then he could read that. So it's this is the interaction, the communication, that kind of thing. And what I figured out, eventually this will happen, but I figured out how to do it. This is for you, Chris. This was a challenge for me. Some people don't want to see this. They don't want to. They just want to go back to the. I want to see the latest news and all that. I get that. They might not want to get into all this. So what you're going to be able to do is choose your home page, and you can switch it at any time. So for somebody that doesn't want to see all of that text and all that kind of stuff, they just want to see a page like this, they'll be able to choose that. And when they click on the logo here, it's going to go there. Other people might want to, use the microblog. So when they go to their profile, what they're going to be able to do is just say, I want to see the all the activity. And that they'll still be able to get at everything else. But this is going to be the default homepage. So you'll have a choice of which one you want to use, kind of thing. Eventually, what I might do is I could even turn on where all of the news comes into this. So it's more like a Facebook news feed kind of thing. This is where you go. And it's really cool on the iPhone. So if I go and let me put this into developer mode. Here's a little trick for you. If you go to Safari and you put in the develop menu, what you're able to do is go up here to develop, and I can say that I'm on an iPhone here. And now what it'll do is it'll render my site for an iPhone. So I can see Steve pointed out an issue which I was able to fix, but I was able to mimic it by using this. But when you're looking at the feed here, you're going to see that you have a nice little thing of all the latest news, and very easy to just kind of see what's going on. And I'm finding myself, I put the news in here, get out of that exit. I put the news in here because I think it's a cool idea, but I never used it. I'm finding myself reading more articles because it's just sitting here, or even if I just go to the main page, it's easily accessible, kind of thing. Just there it all is. And I can see what the latest news is. So those are some of the updates. There's more that is coming. This is what is called Buddy Boss. So somebody said that on the comment. Are you using Buddy Boss? This is something that I've had in my mind for several years. It just wasn't there yet. Well, over COVID, they really hammered down, and they recently came out with this version 2, and it's really cool. I think it's really cool. The beauty of this whole thing is what I want to do eventually at some point. I have to make sure that I can, afford it, but I can build an iOS app for this. Buddy Boss has an iOS app. It's $200 a month. It's a far cry. If I go and ask somebody to create an app for me, you're looking at roughly $25,000 minimum average. I had a couple ideas that I want to do. I have a friend that develops, a genius that I used to work with over at Apple. He was the lead genius, actually, and now he develops apps. And gave him a relatively simple app, $25,000. I have some other ideas, and I talked to somebody else. 25. It seems to be the going rate. 10 years ago, it was just a few thousand. Well, what I'm able to do with Buddy Boss, is they will build an app for me for $200 a month. And the beauty of that is, with Apple, if I invest at $25,000, I'm not going to be guaranteed that I could put it in the App Store. Apple, we've all heard the stories, and that's, I could get on my soapbox about the App Store. I love Apple. I don't like their App Store policies. And they no longer want to have tips and tutorials on Apple hardware and software, blah, blah. So my stuff, I can't submit anything more. So I might not be able to submit this. Well, I might be out $500 then, a couple months. And then Buddy Boss will be like, well, we can't get into the App Store. So my goal, once I get it all, and we're talking 6 months to a year, but there's a chance that I might be able to get this all into an actual app. And I would love to be able to put this into an app and have it in the App Store. I think it'd be so cool. Again, if Apple allows it. So,
well, that's one of the things. It looks like, looking at your news aggregator, that stuff there, that it's an easy way to find tips, because I want to find tips. How can this help me, or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll try here.
It might, I have about 6 sites, so let's just say format external, if I can spell it, external drive, what we were talking about earlier. Let's just see if anybody had anything on that. And I might change the search engine to where it's a little more flexible, but here's 108 different articles that how to convert protected DVD to MP4, AirPods, Black Friday shopping deals, yeah. And that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the garbage in here, but it's pretty easy to just go through here. And best external drive for your Mac, how to clean install Mac OS on your Mac, how to speed up a slow Mac. These are all articles that I didn't, but you're able to find them on my site. And then maybe they can help you.
That excites me.
Mm-hmm.
You really pulled my chain on that.
Well, good. So that is the new site. I'm going to guarantee you're going to find bugs. There's no question. But
What features of Buddy Boss do you plan on rolling out? Because when I looked at it a few years ago, it was more of a community type thing, a forum.
and that's
type.
what, yep. So Buddy Boss, for those, it's Buddy Press is the open source version of it, and Buddy Boss is a company that, anyway. So what I plan on rolling out is everyone can post to a news feed. So we have that community thing there. I also want to start getting, I will add special interest groups in there. So that's another thing. It's like a forum kind of thing. With groups, I'll pick on photography. I could create a photography group, and anybody that's interested in photography, it's a place where we all could just kind of sit there and chat. You would be able to upload your photos into an album and show off your photos. You could provide tips if someone has a question. What you're going to be able to do, including myself, is maybe help them, give them, or if somebody has, I need an app that does this. I don't have all the answers. Maybe somebody else does. So the goal is to roll out groups as well. I would dare say I plan on rolling out most of the features in Buddy Boss because I think they all are beneficial. You don't have to use them all. A member doesn't have to use them all, but I think it would be good for some people,
Because we use groups.io for our
right.
We migrated from Google Groups to that.
Yeah.
And the downside of it is it's not tightly integrated with my site.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
it's some other place they have to log into.
Here is, let me see here, demo user group resources.com. Let's see if this pulls up. This is a site that I created as an idea for user groups using the same kind of thing. And you're going to see, I have groups in here. So my site would have the same kind of thing. And when you go to groups, this is on a shared server, so it's a little slow. You're going to see that I have these different groups, and let's go into photography.
And that's a front end for Buddy Boss right there.
This is all Buddy Boss. Yep. And Buddy Boss, for those that are curious and the web design kind of thing, yes, you have to be logged in because I don't want people to see. With groups, you can have a group, and then within a group you can have a forum. So it sounds kind of confusing, but basically a group is where I can just go, hey, blah 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 blah. Where if you're having a specific problem, then what you do is you create a topic, and then people can reply to that topic. All of that dialogue that goes along with that, somebody posts to a group, this, that, and the other, all of that is going to show in this feed here. So really all you have to do is just go to that feed, think of it like a Facebook kind of thing, go into that feed, and you're going to be able to see everything. If someone has a question, maybe you can help them out. You can just go and reply to it. Basically what I did here. So here's comment. You're going to see all I have to do is just click on that and I can comment on it. That's how I commented to Roses here. And Roma, all I have to do is just go comment. Thanks. And we'll put a little emoji there. And now he just will get a notification up here with that little thing showing me that it said thanks.
Right.
So
and you can
I think it's really cool for a community, and I never thought of my site as a community, but as I'm learning, these AMAs, I've been doing these for a year and a half, and I know everyone here on a first-hand basis and first name basis, basically I've built a community here, so why not try to extend this a little bit, kind of thing. I never really thought that I would do that, but I thought, wow, this could be kind of cool. I think it's kind of neat. So,
yeah, we use ours as a support forum for questions and answers and help. And this is the access to that then is managed by your MemberPress
Yep. So this is all basically, I'm still using MemberPress. That manages my memberships. For those of you who don't know, when you enter your credit card information, all that, that's all done with MemberPress. And then the theme and this part of it is Buddy Boss, and that manages all that. And you can see, I think what I really liked about it is my site I thought was pretty good, but you go down here. I want to see my subscriptions. Oh, I want to see what payments I've made. You know what? I want to change my plan. Or I want to manage my newsletters. Maybe I want to get the daily newsletter. Well, you can do that all right from this page here, kind of thing. And that's all accessible up here as well. So
Well, that managed newsletters thing, that then is tying into MailPelt.
that ties in with MailPoet.
So Bruce and I want a little dog and pony show that after I get back next.
Yeah, and if you, I'm okay with giving a behind the scenes look at if you of my main site if you want to do that. I have no problem with that kind of thing because I like to share that information and I think it's cool, and if it can help someone else, go for it. So.
Yeah, I'm really curious I want to get off of MailChimp, and because again, that's another system that has our database in it. I have places, and the same thing for Groups.io. If I could tie it all into one central location with WordPress.
Yeah. And that's basically what this does. It's all tied into one little. You're going to see a couple things are missing. I still do have my one-to-one training here. I have my shortcut app here. They're down at the bottom. My downloads, I haven't done anything with with those recaps. I wasn't getting a lot of downloads on it, and it's a little bit of work to put those together. I might bring those back, but it's a matter of it's kind of throwing out features and I think there's a little bit more value in kind of something like this, and I'd rather nurture this than something that people hardly used, kind of thing. So
Looks nice. Looks really nice, Dan.
thanks. So that is the site, and like you said, somebody said it's it's going live. I have a lot of work to do on it yet. You're going to find broken stuff. You're going to see I have a little thing here. I found an issue that will open up the email client, and you can email me. People have used that already because there's going to be some issues with it. So be patient. But for the most part, it does work, and it works really well. And Amanda said it's on iPhone. Print is minuscule. You can make the print larger. So on the iPhone. So yeah, that's the new site. Pretty excited about it.
Well, I feel comfortable and safe in this community group, like with asking questions and things like that. I don't feel, some of them I think are dumb, but maybe I'm asking a question that other people haven't asked, but they want to. But again, because we've been together now for 2 years,
right?
Well, like you now have got, like you said, to know us, so there's kind of like a social aspect of it, or we can tease different people or different things. It's really fun. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm encouraging what I've found out is you've seen, Chris, is people. I don't have all the answers, and I'll be the first to admit that. But other people have other ideas and other suggestions. And even in this chat, we found out that somebody's been using SnapScan for 15 years. Phil, I think, said 8 years. So what we can do is we can carry on a dialogue like that, on the site as well. If we wanted to, if people could do that, and just and I think that would be helpful. We'll see. So it's an idea.
Yeah, have you guys noticed the little doggy show going on behind Chuck?
Oh, yeah.
For the last hour and a half? You've been too busy, Dan.
They're playing.
Yeah.
And Steve, let's not talk about the Rams, Steve. I see your picture there. Although now they have Baker Mayfield.
I know, this is going to be wild to watch.
Yeah. All right, let's call that a wrap. I'll have a video up of all this tomorrow. And thank you, everyone. Next week, I'm going to be talking about some of the new features in macOS Ventura. I do have a couple things scheduled after that, but I might just take those off, for holiday season, and just start fresh in January. I'll talk more about that, but just remember in January, I'm going to be starting these things at 5 o'clock so I can go bowling with my family. And yeah.
Yeah,
Let's,
we need a break too, Dan.
yeah. Yep. So we'll call next week is going to be my last one for the year.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And we'll talk to everyone later. And if you find anything on site, let me know.
Aloha.
Mahalo.